You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you, and a whole lot to catch up on today. We will get to a win for Grant McCaslin and the Red Raider men's basketball team, and a whale of a showing for our guy Federico Squared, two-time, getting busy at the USA last night. But, of course, we're also keeping an eye on the frenzy in the transfer portal. We've got a new addition to catch up on, and obviously want to ask you what's happening next. And maybe we'll even get into a few things cryptic on Twitter or elsewhere on today's episode. But, Chris, let's just begin with some of what's happened since we were last together, which includes we've had questions about a defensive back focus, and that continues because we got another addition to the secondary by way of UTEP.
So I think and some of this, like DB addition and the cryptic tweeting, is always, it's kind of like aligned with some of the things that were sent out yesterday and all those things. But we'll get into the addition here in Amir Boyd Matthews. This is I don't necessarily know if this is one that would be as like a high profile addition as your two previous DB additions. Amir Boyd does have multiple years to play, but he checks the box on ultimately, I think, what they wanted to do when they started this portal cycle. Like, we're just talking DBs here. And I think this spills over into really your general thought process, but you wanted to get longer, older, faster, all those things. And everybody that's been brought in here, the three corners, are 6'1" plus. And I mean, and two of them have multiple years to play. There's just, and like, well, why so many corners? Well, I mean, you did rank, I think, 132nd in pass defense. And you don't just snap your fingers and all of a sudden it magically appears. You're going to have some internal improvement and development. Absolutely. I think that's your hope. But you're with the tools that are made available to you now with the portal, I think you're trying to fix it. And I think that's one of the things. You wanted to get longer. You wanted to get deeper. Yeah, because there were times this past season, Cowan, when you were having to – it's like, we'll give you two names, like a Jordan Sanford or a Devin Cromwell were kind of like safety / corners going into some of these games. Like, hey, if this happens, he's going to play some corner. If this happens, he's going to play safety and all that. And I think you're wanting to be a little bit more corner specific with some of your pieces. And keep in mind, you're going to employ 2 to 3 to 4 on any given defensive package. And I don't know enough about Shieldwood and like what he ultimately wants to do with it, but this spills over into depth. This spills over into special teams. But you needed some longer guys that can play. I think you love Mo Horn. I think you have a very high opinion of Macho Stevenson, but you look at it like I'm sitting here. I mean, as it stands, even with the guys you've added, you only have the one senior next year of the corner. So it was a relatively young position, and that's Balfour. The rest of these guys are going to be juniors or, redshirt freshmen and all those things. So I think I wasn't necessarily expecting you to take a third one, but also when Jalen Peoples leaves and Braylon Lux graduates and all those things, and maybe you just got around one of these guys and we're like, we'd really like to have him, or he can do a variety of things for us. But Amir Boyd Matthews is somebody right up the road there in El Paso. And yeah, you're trying to address one of the worst pass defenses in the country, and you're throwing some assets at it. And hopefully it gets fixed. But I love the 6'1" or better part. And because we still don't technically know who's going to coach these rascals. That's what else is interesting to note. We're still trying to determine what that looks like and the staff and all that. But you're in the business of adding talent and age and experience to your team right now, and it's not necessarily going to stop the rest of this week, certainly. But we'll see. But DB, you've added four of them, a safety and 3 cover guys. So. I don't think you'll be near the debt. You give up 300 passing yards a game last year. Some of that I put on the lack of defensive front too. Yeah. So it's not all on these guys, but yeah.
I was curious about where you feel like there may be a finish line for the secondary. Is there such a thing? If you see a good player and you can get a good player, you're going to go do it, or is there a number where you feel like it's capped?
Well, you have a like a 5-star, previously 5-star rated corner that shows up on a visit in the last day or so. He may still be on campus as you and I are sitting here talking. That's a great question. I don't want to put myself in a box or think about it in terms of this is how many portal additions you're going to have, or really just kind of get yourself talked to any one scenario, because I think it's all a bunch of moving parts. And I think that spills into the next portion of what we need to talk about, is that what does this do to players currently on the roster? Do they start looking at this going, And so I'm not sure, that they would. I think Coach McGuire would have a better feel and for the totality of kind of everybody's opinion on what may or may not happen, what this looks like, all those things. So that part is certainly interesting. So, I don't know if I know what the end looks like at any position, really, because I can envision a scenario where, because remember when Joey was like, I think we're going to get into we'll add about 10 guys. Oh, you're going to blow past it. I'm not real sure. I'm not real sure, but you are here. You are here for the right now. That's for sure. That's what you're trying to get done, is improve right now as quickly as possible. And with that room just needed to be upgraded, and I think they've been able to do that.
Okay, so I've been kind of operating with that projection in mind from Coach McGuire, and if that's out the window, then it certainly leaves you some more room to maybe think about how many guys you could bring, whether it's a secondary or otherwise. Let's get cryptic. I'm wondering what is catching your attention as far as some of the mystery out there, whether it's on Twitter or elsewhere. There's so much, cloak and dagger with all this. What have you seen that's been standing out to you?
Well, I think that some of your current players have tweeted out different things. I think that some of your targets that have been on campus, your portal targets, have tweeted out interesting things. So you have to, like, sometimes these are meaningful. Sometimes it's just somebody saying hello. Sometimes they're trying to tell you what's up. It's up to us to try to decipher, which is a maddening little exercise at times, trying to determine what exactly does this mean. But this is what's going to kind of happen across the country, is that I think there's studies that show that once kids get into the portal once, they're really likely to get into it again. Now, a lot of these guys you've added are 1-year guys, so this is it for them. Some of which have multiple years to play, and the rules are about to change. So maybe, but to this point, I think that studies have shown if somebody gets into the portal, then they're going to do it again. And I think part of what you're seeing is that there's a lot of this activity. The fans are excited, the fans are frustrated, and all in between. Sometimes current guys on the roster are sitting there going, well, I mean, I'd like to have some of this fun, or why is nobody talking about me? Or what does all of this mean for me? All the stuff, right? So I just think you could pay attention to a lot of that, but I point this topic out just because some stuff gets sent out there, and I'm like, I don't have no idea. And then some stuff you kind of feel like I mean, there was a I mean, like Josh Kelly, in the last day or so, he posted a picture of him in Florida. Well, the team's practicing right now. Josh Kelly's in Florida. There's some dots to probably connect there. Okay, that's and this is a different, semi-different topic, but if he's in Florida and the team's practicing, probably not going to play in the bowl game, I would guess.
Yeah.
So, but I think you can, and you had a potential target on campus sharing some things on Twitter and all those things that I think you're in pretty good shape with, but he's kind of just saying hello out there. So anyway, pay attention to that stuff if you want. If not, I get it, but sometimes it has a lot of meaning. Sometimes it means nothing. Sometimes it's just them saying hello, man. So anyway.
Yeah, I don't pay any attention to that stuff. That's why I pay attention to you, Chris, because I know that you're paying attention to that stuff. And then I allow you to translate. But always interesting to see what maybe is bubbling up on social media that could have some meaning or none at all. As far as what is still to come, Chris, position groups or focuses or things like that on your radar as we move through this week? I know it's kind of scattered, but is there anything that's kind of leading the way or maybe more so at the forefront? First, today's episode brought to you by the College Football Playoff. It's that time of the year. The College Football Playoff is back. And with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT sports coverage of the College Football Playoff begins December 21st, starting with the College Football Playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern. Leading into our first matchup, the SMU Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the College Football Playoff presented by Allstate, live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max.
As was told to me, 2 words: large humans. that and there's some rumored visits. There is some a lot of ruffled feathers out there in the old ether about what Texas Tech is doing or potentially doing or trying to do with things. But I think that continues to be the theme, is large humans, because that still needs to be addressed. And this is what we've been waiting on and what you need. And that's going to ultimately determine how you finish up this cycle, if you will. I think there is does 6'8", 325 do anything for you?
Does a little, yeah.
Does 6'4", 320 do anything for you?
Yeah, it does.
That's what you're trying to get done here. So there is all of that, and there's others, but there's some high-profile rumored visits set to take place in the next 24, 72 hours ish. And I think that's what everybody's kind of focused on right now, and understandably so, because guess what? I would be one of those. I am fascinated by how some of this is playing out. I think as far as what's next, I think that you've got a running back set to visit pretty soon that obviously has ties to Taj Brooks because of them sharing the same high school alma mater. He comes from USC. There's a tight end here from Louisiana that I think has been on campus. He's been part of the cryptic tweet activity going on in various ways, and even sharing tweets with the current tight end Jalen Conyers. So you can kind of connect those dots, and even some things coming out of some of the Florida State news outlets who thought they had him done, and I think he has told them, "Yeah, I ain't coming." So we'll just kind of see what happens with Terrence Carter and all that. I think that he would check because you need a tight end, so that would check the box. You need a running back, so we'll see if you can close it. Again, there's other options here at these positions, but right now these are the guys at the forefront. But your Lee Hunters, your the Sampson young man out of North Carolina that's originally from Houston. I mean, you're kind of honing in here, but again, you're also playing all sides of the equation here. And there's an edge player out of Georgia Tech that I think got everybody's dander up, depending on which side of this thing you were on, that some predictions being made. So we'll see. We'll see what the Matador Club tells us. We'll see how these visits go. But some of these visits, as you and I are sitting here talking, haven't even started yet. Some of these will play out in the coming days. And then when do announcements get made? And when do you move on to other targets, or when can you get a deal done? I mean, all this stuff. But and I'll tell you this, I think more resources have been added to Texas Tech's portal party as far as things that would allow them to get guys secured here. So we'll
cash.
Yeah.
You still feel a little dirty saying it, or what?
I guess so. I think it's more PC to say resources, but that's kind of the word that I get.
We're not providing them with a counselor. It ain't a new counselor that's going to be. I mean, they may be, but that's not going to be the ultimate.
There are some donors, plural, that are enjoying this and that are putting their money and then that have the wherewithal to. And donors, plural. It's not just anyone. And I think each of them would all say, hey, man, this isn't just me. This is a group effort. But, yeah, I think that some of them are certainly adding to the old war chest.
Good to know. Glad to hear that my $5 donation is paying off.
And every bit helps, man. And people, people have said, man, I'm a teacher. I've only been able to give, dude. I think that everybody that's a part of this, it's been awesome. It doesn't guarantee you anything, but I think it kind of brings everybody together, and it's all West Texas. It's us against everybody kind of mentality, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna get on we'll talk hoops in a second, but I have thoroughly enjoyed the hurt feelings that you've caused in other fan bases or in whatever, because little old Texas Tech showed up to the portal party ready to go. And you won't always be on the right side of this stuff. I think that's just part of how this is working. But it's been kind of fun to see you kind of ruffling some of those feathers out there when people feel like it's their right. Well, I mean, we are insert university here, and this player was going to come here, and we'll just see kind of how this wraps up. But it's been fun that Texas Tech been involved, because it should tell you something that you are ruffling feathers and. People are like, yeah, I ain't coming on their prospective visits or whatever it may be, because you're getting in some cases, I think, the right kinds of guys, or getting guys that people wanted. And we'll just kind of see what you end up with here. We're in the middle of it still, but again, large humans. That continues to be the goal right now. And I mean, you still need a kicker, still need another quarterback, all the stuff. But it's been fun, been a fun week, and been fun watching this kind of play out. Certainly,
terrific opportunity for a segue. Let's continue with the theme of large humans and get to a win for Grant McCaslin and the Red Raider men's basketball team. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle all the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And right now, new customers can bet only $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL and a whole lot more, all in one place. So when you get a hunch, a gut instinct in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a gut feeling again, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's episode brought to you by PrizePicks. Testing your skills on PrizePicks this football season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports and the best way to spice up any game, anytime. You think you got what it takes to win up to 100 times your money? All you got to do is select 2 to 6 players, pick more or less on their projected stats, place your entry, and boom, you're ready to roll. PrizePicks is not only the best way to get action on sports in most states, including Texas, but PrizePicks also puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When the picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. With easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and a giant selection of players, projections, and stat categories, it's no surprise that PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So get in on the fun and the winning and download the PrizePicks app today and use our code LOCKEDONCollege, and you're going to get $50 instantly when you play only $5. Again, that's our code LOCKEDONCollege on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you just play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. With PrizePicks, run your game. 86-50, the final score over Oral Roberts. I think you had a 22-point lead at halftime. You wind up with a 36-point win. And your largest human, Chris, was showing out. Our guy Federico, 2-time, goes double-double, 23 and 12. 5 assists against 1 turnover, just to add for good measure as far as the cherry on top. Was a really good night for Tech overall in those columns. I think 26-10. The assist-to-turnover ratio, 26 assists on something like 33, 34 made field goals. So you win convincingly. You look pretty good doing it for the most part. And maybe Federico is taking advantage of some of these added minutes in the absence of JT Toppin. Man, I'll take a whole lot of that if he wants to dole out a little bit more when Big 12 play gets here. What'd you make of the ball game?
Yeah, I would tell you JT Toppin, he's going to have a hard time getting his spot back no, I'm kidding. But, the one number that sticks out more than any other ones, and you mentioned several, 26-10 on assisted turnovers, the third career double-double for Federico. I think he had a career high in points with 23. But the number that stuck out to me more than anything is that points in the paint was 46-10. That is not something I'd ever seen before, that lopsided. And I even asked Grant McCaslin, you ever won a game before where you've like dominated that category? He's like, not off the top of my head. I don't remember that. But you have now. And, ORU, they were missing a key piece as well in that game. They're not very good. And I think the zone defense that they threw out at you at the start of the game kind of threw you off a little bit. And you had a hard time, with some of the turnovers and taking care of the ball. But then as your defense started to get going and you started to speed this game up, ORU had a really hard time. The other thing that I think you did is Justin McBride is Isaac McBride. Why do I have Justin on the brain? Isaac McBride. He is somebody that played at Vanderbilt, and he was a high-profile transfer in the portal a couple years ago. It was a bit of a minor upset or maybe even major upset that he stayed at ORU. He's averaging 17 a game. And you locked him up. He doesn't have a lot of help around him, but I think that the work that they did on him, because he was 2 of 14, and he got frustrated and he committed some fouls, and I think he ended up with 6 total points, so well below his per game average, and I think that was a pretty good sign too. So what you did in the paint, the big fella Federico, what you did on McBride, and all that, because Lamar will be in here on Saturday, and they're going to be a lot tougher. They've got some junior college All-Americans on their team. It's a noon tip. It's a game that is the getaway game where everybody goes home for Christmas, and you kind of sometimes teams are like got one foot out the door, or what time is my flight? Can't wait to see grandma, whatever it may be. So those are tricky games for coaches. And Lamar will be a lot better than ORU was. But, I mean, ORU, man, 2 years ago, they were 30-5, man. I mean, they were legit. They were 18-0 in the Summit, and it's just the portal has really done some damage to that roster, and Coach Springman having a hard time maintaining it. But yeah, fun night at the arena last night. But you just have one more non-conference contest before the real real party starts.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm assuming that we, given it's just one left, maybe we don't see Toppin until conference play, or is there some thought that, hey, we'd like to get him back on the floor before conference play? What, you got any guess?
I guess I think this. I'll be really surprised if he doesn't play versus Lamar. I don't know if you want to, but again, if he's not right, they're not going to do that. But I don't know if coaches think like this. I mean, I do. Maybe you do, but maybe you didn't feel like you needed him necessarily versus ORU. Maybe you will need more of him, but I just don't know if letting him get after it after such a long layoff versus UCF would be. But again, it all goes back to if he's right, he's going to play and play some. But hopefully you'll break the seal on him. Remember the Warren Washington conversation we were having all throughout last year, and we just couldn't ever really determine what that was going to look like. And you figured out different ways. Boy, you desperately need JT Toppin when this thing gets going for real. Oh, yeah. He's just different. And 18 and 11 on average there's just not a lot of that out there. And you're going to, need, because I tell you, your boy Federico, he's never played this many minutes before. He was a bit winded. He doing the whole like, hey man, can I get a breather a bit? But he did well with it.
Man, it was nice to see Darion Williams. Wasn't shooting it all that well, but had 9 assists on the night, and Chance McMillan had a great night as well. Man, I hope he can keep some of that going when we get to Big 12 play. Chris, appreciate the insights as always. I'm sure we will be talking again very soon as the action continues to unfold within the transfer portal. So make sure you're subscribed out there on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you miss nothing. Appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoyed it, and we'll see you for the next one.
Hey, man, sounds good. Appreciate it. We love you all, and Head on a Swivel season continues, so we'll talk to you next time.
Shout out to the swiveled heads in the audience. Shout out to the everydayers in the audience. Always being there, riding along with us. Appreciate you. And a big what up to the Matador Mob, growing every day in frenzied fervor, frothing at the mouth, foaming. I mean, frenetic is the vibe within the Matador Mob. So appreciate you guys for being out there chopping it up with us basically around the clock at this point in time. Hit the show notes, find the link there for a free 14-day trial, your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks for the time as always, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.